Here we are going into the 126-pound weight class final. Jim Slattery from Island Trees on your right. And Steve Silverberg from Ramapo, Section 9.
16-year-old junior with a record of 34 wins and no losses. An overall record of 77
Section
wins.
9, we see Steve Silverberg.
Coached by
He's with his back towards us.
High School from Section 8.
Facing us, Jim Slattery. To the 126-pound weight class final.
A 17-year-old senior with a record of 30 wins, no losses. An overall record of 86 wins, 8 losses, and 1 tie. Coached by Thomas Canty of Ramapo High School, Section 9. Steve Silverberg.
Steve Silverberg reached the finals by defeating Kevin Murray 6-4, and Jim Slattery reached the finals by pinning John Conway in 4:59. Slattery with his back to you now is Section 8, Steve Silverberg with the stripe on the side of his uniform from Section 9. That was quite a match, Jim.
I loved it, you know.
That 119-pound bout.
You'll see some exciting, like that's what we were talking about before. You see some exciting things. You know, the guy's leading 7-1. All of a sudden, scores 7-7. The guy that was leading is fighting for his life to save the match. I thought both boys did a very good job.
Well, here we are in the 126-pound weight class with about 3 seconds left. And the leader is Steve Silverberg. At the end of the first period. Beginning of the second period. Steve Silverberg with his back to you right there, Section 9, is leading 3-0. Looks like he has his ribs taped or something.
Yeah, I was looking at that just a little while ago, Klaus. They're taped on one side, so it's not a rib injury. It looks like it must be a cut or something because it's only taped. His side is his one side is taped, the other is not. So the tape is not going around the body at all.
You know, Jim, I didn't take a look at it that closely, but it's obvious that you did.
Well, I look at things like that because when you have a rib injury, they can be very painful, and it really takes a lot for a kid or an athlete to get out and participate in something, whether it be football or wrestling. If he's got a rib injury.
What would you say, Jim, was some good advice to pass on to parents of wrestlers? What was some?
You know, very good move, beautiful move. That's a duck under to the right side, the left side of the Section 9 kid, which is unusual. Most times, if you do a duck under, you do it to the other side. It's a very good job.
On his right side.
Yeah, right. He did it like he was left-handed. Any advice that I could pass on to some of the parents of any athlete, whether it be wrestler or football player, would be that number one, give him as much support as you possibly can on whether he's wrestling on and off the wrestling mat. And I know at times it's kind of tough to see your kid out there, or whether it be wrestling or football, and wonder about him or be concerned about the fact of him getting hurt. And you know, you're overly concerned about it. As a matter of fact, my father wouldn't sign my papers for me to play football because he was overly concerned about the fact of me getting hurt. And like I was talking to a young mother last night, and they have a 7-year-old kid, that 7-year-old boy that wants to be a wrestler, and they're overly concerned about him being hurt. And as much as I say, and I have a daughter myself, as much as say you have to be concerned about it, but not overly concerned about it, because all you can do is, in some cases, support them and hope nothing happens.
Well, I think
because
that's
so
a
many
good-
other things can happen. I was just going to conclude the class by saying so many other things could happen if they're not in athletics. Athletics is probably the greatest thing a kid could get involved in. When I was in high school, I saw a number of kids out drinking and smoking, and now it's not drinking. Now it's pot and a number of other things, marijuana. And I would rather, and I'm glad that I went to the route that I did, participating in wrestling and football, as opposed to drinking and getting involved in other things, because I could have been a hoodlum. I might have been in jail or something else. So I thank my parents, and I thank sports for me becoming a type of person, a type of athlete that I have become.
That's the kind of testimony, Jim, that people like myself also have a number of children really appreciate. Well, we've got an even match here with 57 seconds left.
I got to talking so much, and
3-3.
Wasn't looking at the wrestling. Very good match, a tight match.
126-pound weight final. Steve Silverberg on the right, Jim Slattery on the left.
You have two guys that are pretty evenly matched. It's kind of tough at times because it looks like they're in a stalemate. They're a little tight here now.
Now, this referee hasn't allowed to put it. Now he allows it. About 24 seconds left. Steve Silverberg takes a 5-3 lead.
Got 6 seconds to the first period. Excuse me, third period is over. To the match.
That's the end of the bout. And so our winner in 126-pound weight class, Steve Silverberg, winner 5-3 over Jim Slattery.